Good morning, everyone. Today we have a very special guest, David Gorski, who is the broker-owner of Sutton Group Summit Real Estate here in Mississauga. Welcome, David. Nice to have you on board today.
Thank you, Reddy. It's great to be here. That's a little bit of a tongue twister even for me.
Well, we've
But
been talking about doing this for a long time, so I'm glad we're able to put it together this morning.
Absolutely. It's good to be here. I've been following your podcast. I know you've been doing this for a long time, and it's a great source of information for everybody out there in the marketplace. So thank you for having me as your guest. I'm happy to be here and spend the next hour with you guys and talk about the real estate market.
No problem. And today we haven't really set too much of an agenda. You and I have known each other for a number of years. And I thought we would just maybe talk about general topics of interest, where the market's headed. I know a lot of people ask me, what is going on with the real estate market? For the last year and a half since COVID hit, basically all bets have been off. Nobody knows whether it's going up or down. I mean, we watch it on a daily basis. But a lot of the members of the public they're not sure what to do. Should I buy? Should I sell? Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? So hopefully we can read the tea leaves a little bit for them today, give them some ideas about the best course of action. So do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself? I mean, I know you, but they don't. So could you just go over a little bit? I know you've been in real estate for quite a while, and I know you own the company, but tell the folks a little bit about who you are.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, Randy. Thanks for the introduction. So my name is David Gorski. I am the broker owner of Sutton Summit Realty, and extremely humbled to be able to lead and to own Sutton Summit Realty. We have almost 200 realtors, extremely productive office. We've been around for 35 years, have a great reputation in the marketplace. And we're known for our excellence, and we're also known for our culture inside the brokerage, which is quite unique in a commission-structured environment where everybody really helps each other and works together to further our mission, which is basically to build wealth by encouraging people to become homeowners. And that's something that we've been doing for the last 35 years, and we really pride ourselves on. And we've helped thousands and thousands of people build acquiring real estate. And it's something that we're very passionate about. So I'm very fortunate to be able to lead and to be able to really continue what my predecessors have done and the company that they've built.
Well, I could only imagine the amount of pressure you must be under having 200 realtors working for you. That in itself is not just a full-time job. That's like a triple full-time job, having that many agents and plus a big support staff too. And I will say, not to butter you up or anything, but it's a pleasure working at Sutton Group Summit. It really is. You know that I've worked at a couple of other major companies in my career, my long and storied career, and I'm very happy at Sutton. Yeah, I think it's a great place for people to grow. There's other companies out there that have good branding too, but a lot of them just sort of throw you out to the wolves. And whereas Sutton, I think I sense it, and I think most of the agents I talk to sense that you guys care and you want people to be successful in an industry that's not as easy as people think it is. I talk to a lot of rookie agents. They think the streets are paved with gold. They're just going to go out there and make $1 million. And it's not that easy. It really isn't.
Well, as realtors, we take a lot of baggage, right, for our clients.
Yes.
We really go the extra mile, and we are in the service industry, right? We're here to make our clients' lives better every step of the way. And
that's right.
We take that very seriously. And just like your clients have to lean on you for support, our realtors lean on the brokerage for support. And it's those relationships that we've cultivated over, a substantial amount of time. Like, every day we get to celebrate huge milestones with our realtors. We have realtors that have been with us for over 30 years, for
That's
over
amazing.
27 years, for 25 years, right?
Oh, I'm just a rookie. What can I say with my 15 years?
15 years, just a rookie, right? But how many other brokerages out there, can't even say that they have realtors past the 5-year mark, right?
True.
They're only 5 years in business, right? So
that is true.
We use the sum of our experience to really give our realtors and their clients an advantage in the marketplace, a competitive advantage, right? So
yeah.
It's a fortunate position to be in, and we take it very very seriously and starts from the top. And we're building a very dynamic and inclusive culture where everybody just kind of works together as one team to have our clients' best interests at heart. And that's really what gives us our competitive advantage in the marketplace. It's a very unique position that we hold. We really are a boutique brokerage. You have a very small feel, but we're hyper productive brokerage. I can't stress that enough how much volume we do. You know, we have some amazing realtors.
Absolutely.
We're hiring some amazing realtors. And what happens is, you know, they really get included in the culture, and we use their experiences and the relative experiences that they've had in previous industries before they've joined real estate to really help build you know, that culture and that high performance stamina, not only for them, but for all our other realtors that are part of Sutton Summit as well.
I know that it's a big office, and I know that our numbers have been pretty good through the COVID crisis. I don't think, did we experience a drop in production, or overall has it been pretty steady?
No, I mean, we're hiring a lot of realtors. I think we hired over 40 realtors in the last 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So our numbers have been increasing dramatically. I think we're up 40% in our volume over the last 18 months. So
that's incredible during COVID. That's incredible. So tell me a little bit about COVID. I know when it first hit a year and a half ago, I did a video on YouTube where I said I thought the market was going to slow down and could crash. I actually said that on video publicly. And I, of course, was completely wrong, completely off, because last year, I believe, after there was about 6 weeks where it did slow down, but then it picked up, and the market ended last year. I believe the prices were actually up 15% year over year. So COVID, although it's a global pandemic, there's like a disconnect between buyers and sellers, where it's like, well, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. Let's go buy a condo, which I still haven't quite figured out. What are your thoughts? Here we are now after about, I don't know what it is, about 18 months of COVID. We came out of lockdown. Everything's open again. The restaurants, you can go and sit down either outdoors or inside. The gyms are open. The stores are open. But there's a lot of stuff on the horizon where I'm kind of nervous when I check the news in the morning to see, you know, numbers are spiking in the United States. I mean, Florida, on one day last week, they had 20,000 new cases of COVID in one day, just in Florida. And it seems to be spiking in Europe and spiking in Japan and Australia. So what are your thoughts? Do you think we can escape this, or do you think we're going to be faced with a potential lockdown again going forward this fall?
Well, I mean, let me break your question down into, you know,
sorry to throw you a hot potato like that, but everybody's asking. Nobody seems to know.
You know what? It's a great question, but I think you really have to look at the fundamentals of really what's happening out there, right? And I mean, why did most people move to Canada? You know, why did most people immigrate to Canada? And my argument is that most people, and you know, whether you came down here or your family or your grandparents came down here, they came down here looking for a better life, right?
Yes.
And if people look and really break that down, you know, it's a risk to come down and get uprooted from where you grew up, from where your ancestors grew up, from the language that you know, from the culture that you know, to get uprooted from that and to immigrate over, cross a big ocean, come into the unknown, to give you and your family and your kids a better future.
That's so true. Does that take guts or what, to get on an airplane and go somewhere where you might not even speak English? And here you are.
I think that's one of the most gutsy and risky moves that there is in the world. You know, I look at myself, right? And I look at the life I've built for myself here. And, you know, I came to Canada when I was 7 years old. I actually remember immigrating here and that whole process. And
I did not know that.
In school, I remember I cried my first day at school because I didn't speak English. I didn't understand what the teachers were saying to me.
Oh my
but,
God.
you know, my parents came here to give me a better life, right? And I look at my life today, and what would it take for me to move to California or to move to Mexico or to move to Spain or to move to another part of the world? That would be a very tough decision, and it would require a certain personality trait and a certain
bravery,
ideology and bravery to commit to, you know, going through that process to build a new life. But this is what all of us have done here. Every
True.
single person that's in Canada right now has gone through that thought process, or their family has gone through that process, and they came here for a better life, right? And
Yeah.
when you look at things like clean air, clean water, free health care, right?
Yeah.
Equality, right? Political stability, um,
Yes.
the ability to build wealth and to buy real estate and be landowners. Like there's certain parts of the world where no matter what you do, no
Yeah.
matter how much money you have, you can't become a landowner,
True.
right?
That's true.
If you're not, born in certain parts of the country, right? So when you look at all those fundamentals, Randy, I think there's an ironclad argument that can be made that there's no better place in the world to raise your children, to live, to enjoy clean water, clean air, healthcare. And I think we're seeing this on a massive scale where people from all over the world are coming into Canada. And
Yeah.
I give our immigration policy a lot of credit. It's whoever invented our immigration policy is absolutely brilliant, because it's not first come, first serve like it is in the United States. It's a point system, right? Ideology,
Right.
which means that, if you have money, if you're a professional, if you're a dentist, if you're an engineer, those people get priority, right? So the people that are coming into Canada are coming to Canada, extremely well educated,
They are.
with money. They're landowners. This is the cream of the crop that we're accepting to our borders. It's not, the first come, first serve system that the United States has, right? So these people on day one are asking, hey, what franchise can I buy? Where do I buy real estate? These are the two questions that they're asking on day one when they immigrate into Canada. And this is what's fueling our real estate market, right? And this is happening on a massive scale throughout the whole world, right?
I agree with you 100%. And
and
I
then,
am pro-immigration, by the way. My grandparents came over in the early 1900s from Europe. And you talk to people, but Canada's a big country. It's a huge country. It's mostly empty. And immigrants have done everything here. I mean, my grandparents were immigrants. I didn't realize you were born overseas. I didn't know that. I thought you were born here. But where would Canada be without immigrants? And I know the current government has set some really, really high numbers for immigration. I think I read somewhere that Trudeau had said they're going to allow in about 400,000 people per year.
we doubled the numbers.
Yeah, and we know from past experience that roughly half of those 400,000 are going to settle in the GTA. Roughly half come to the GTA of all immigrants.
100%.
And so that's got to be a huge pressure for housing. I mean, that's something they don't talk about, but when you're letting in 200,000 people a year into the GTA, they got to live somewhere. And I think that's got to be part of it. Just anecdotally speaking, a friend of mine called me last week. He's originally from the Middle East, and he asked me if I could help out. His friend was just admitted to Canada. He and his wife were just admitted to Canada. They're brand new immigrants, and could I help them out with a rental? That's something I couldn't do, but I thought it was interesting because we just assume that because of COVID, the immigration taps have been turned off, but they've not been turned off completely, or maybe they're reopening them right now because these people are just off the airplane from the Middle East. And so they're coming.
The government's trying to solve a different issue, and that is basically the issue of taxation, right? Because the amount of money that the government spent on all these COVID initiatives and to help people and CERB and wage subsidy and rent subsidy, and I mean the list goes on and on. They spent billions and billions and billions of dollars, and that money has to be recouped, and it has to be recouped from that population base, right? So you take $4 billion and you divide it by 36 million. And that's the amount of money that each person needs to pay back in order for the government to, receive their money back. So what the government's trying to do is they're trying to increase that population base to lower the tax per person, right? And one way of doing that is to open up your borders and let more people in, which is, is not an idea that I'm opposed with. I mean, the money has to come from somewhere. So they're just opening the taps and letting more people in and spreading that burden among a bigger number of people.
Right. And like you said a minute ago, today's immigrants tend to be better educated, and they tend to have money. They're not just showing up off the boat with, $20 in a suitcase. These people have MBAs and they're highly educated and they have money. So again,
put it this way. I mean, when my parents and when, you know, your ancestors came to Canada, they came here with very little.
Or nothing. Yes.
Right. But they had that drive and ambition
Right.
to build something, right?
That's
Because
right.
they came here for a better life. Now, imagine if they came here with something and they had the same drive and ambition, where would they be today, right? Because, you know, a lot of our families, my families included, they came here to Canada, I think, with like $100 in their pocket, right?
Yep. God bless them, eh? God bless them. That's so brave to do
hard.
that.
And you know what? My parents, you know, are mortgage free. They you know, live in Oakville. They have a very comfortable lifestyle. And you know, I know they made a lot of sacrifices to give me a better life. And, you know, I'm very thankful for that. But if they came to Canada with something, like we're seeing the current generation coming to Canada with their pockets full of money, right? With properties overseas, you know, with education. I mean, they just have that much of a head start. And they still have the same ambition to build something and to give their kids a better life. So, you know, I'm very excited what the future holds in Canada and what that's going to look like. And I think Canada has, you know, a massive, massive respect on a worldwide scale, and we're seeing a massive amount of money flow in here. So, you know, I think the whole world recognizes, you know, what we have and the opportunities that are here. And like I said, I think this is the best place in the world to really raise your kids and build a family.
I agree, 100%.
You asked me how I think COVID kind of interplayed with our real estate. So, I think, you know, there are obviously tons of negative associations with COVID, but I think the one positive thing that society can take out is that whole family interaction. You know, people had a massive amount of time in 2020 to kind of reconnect with the basics of life, you know, and figure out what's important to them. You know, we're seeing more people do biking than ever before. We're seeing more people do water sports than ever before. We're seeing more people go out and enjoy the outdoors than ever before. The parks are full, right? You can't find a cottage anywhere for rent because people are going out in a massive way and just really enjoying the Canadian outdoors, right? People, you know, miss the gym, right? So we're seeing this whole back to basic reconnection with the outdoors and, you know, with exercising and then with people really going back out there in a big way. And, you know, it's leading to a lifestyle change on a massive level as well, right? So it's been really interesting to kind of see those trends take place and flourish and move forward. And, you know, I think people are reconnecting with their home in a very different level as well, right? People have spent such a massive amount of time over the last year in their home, and they're kind of rethinking about, you know, how they interact with their space.
Yeah. And a lot of home renovation going on. You talk to home renovators, they've never been busier. You can't even get them these days. If you talk to somebody, you want to put ceramics in your kitchen, they'll say, call me in October. They're fully booked.
Yep. Tons of, you know, people are reimagining how they use their space. They're upgrading their space. They're changing their spaces. They're spending so much time in the home that they're interacting differently with their spaces, right? They're setting up home offices. They're, you know, trying to isolate themselves from their kids a little bit in the daytime. So
I get it.
Realizing what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And a lot of the times, a lot of people have been updating and upsizing and you know, moving further away from the GTA into the suburbs. I mean, we're seeing a massive trend, and we're seeing more multiple offers the further you go away from the city. And, you know, prices are catching up in a big way in the outskirts the further you go, like
way out.
Catharines, Windsor, Innisfil, Barrie, Aurelia, I mean, Oshawa, you know, there's absolute pandemonium almost happening with prices out there.
That
and
is
up quickly to the GTA.
That's right on. You may know that last year I did a couple of sales in Cambridge, Ontario. And I thought it would be, I didn't want to do it, but these were Mississauga clients of mine that both separately moved to Cambridge. And it was just unbelievable. Again, we're talking 20, 22, 24 offers on each property. It was, and the local agents in Cambridge were not particularly happy. They were actually blaming GTA people for boosting the prices up so high. But It's just one of those things. There's so many people, you got to have houses to put them in. So I think that's definitely a trend too. Yeah. People look out there to say, okay, either I can work from home in Cambridge or Innisfil or Stony Creek, or I'll commute if I have to. And I think that's definitely a trend as well.
Yeah. And the other thing that people are really not talking about, but we really have to start talking about this, is inflation. Right?
Man, are you kidding me? Have you been to the grocery store lately? Everything's double what it was a year ago, like literally double.
Yeah. And people are not talking about this. And we really need to have a conversation about inflation because, what is inflation, first of all? Inflation is basically the fact that your dollar is worth less today than it's going to be worth tomorrow, right? Yes. Prices are going up. How do you measure inflation? Well, this is really interesting. Mm-hmm. So they have a basket of goods, and they choose different items that they can measure how much they've increased over time, right?
Whatever they're doing, it's not accurate. Whatever they're measuring, these statistical guys in Ottawa, they're missing the boat because you don't have this problem with your car, but I filled up my car with gas yesterday, and it was like close to $100, and it used to be like $60 2 years ago. Now, don't tell me we only have 2% inflation. It's ridiculous.
Well, 2% inflation, Randy, if you filled up for $60 and we have 2% inflation, you should be paying $62 for
exactly.
With 2% inflation, not $100.
Right. So something is wacky here. They're not telling us the whole story.
So you have a basket of goods, and they put in a couple items, and they measure how much those items have increased over time. The problem is that they put in bread, milk, eggs, flour, which is great because those are the necessities that everybody needs to buy. So those are the goods that need to be in the basket. However, then they're going to throw in an electronic like an iPad, right? But they're very specific about what kind of an iPad is. So they put in an iPad 3. Now, we all know that over a year, that iPad 3 is going to really maintain its value in the first year. But in the second year, as soon as the iPad 4 comes out, the iPad 3 is nearly obsolete. Right? So what that does is, the eggs, milk, butter, they increase substantially, but then the iPad is down over time.
Oh, man.
So the basket of goods shows that we have a 2% inflation, which we all know is
no way
impossible the way things are.
Yeah.
So listen, when you look at historically, because I'm a big student of, economics and investments and markets. And, I kind of looked at, what happened after the war and what happened when we had this period of massive inflation. And historically, the two ways to protect yourself and safeguard your hard-earned money against inflation is
real estate
and to buy real estate.
Yeah.
Those are the two ways to safeguard your money, right? And the people who have had multiple investment properties over the last 10 years, Canada has the most self-made millionaires through real estate. I don't know if you knew that, but we have the most self-made millionaires through real estate.
I totally believe that. And another question I would put to you, which I put to someone recently, is how many people have you ever met who became multimillionaires through the stock market, through trading stocks on Bay Street or Wall Street? And the answer to that is either nobody or very few. It's a very difficult way to make money. But how many people do you know who become super wealthy by simply buying a house? Or maybe one or two, or maybe a couple of investment properties? And the answer to that, I think you'll agree with me, many people have become wealthy simply by buying a house and holding on to it and paying it off. Because look at house prices these days. The average price is close to $1 million or over $1 million now, I think, for a detached. That's a lot of money.
And Randy, when you buy an investment property, you're really using leverage to your advantage, right? Because you're only putting in 20% or 10% or even 5% down in some situations, and you're leveraging other people's money to build wealth over time. And the beautiful thing is that even if we were to have a 50% market correction, as long as you buy a property that has positive over a 25-year period, if somebody else pays your mortgage for you, you're still going to get about a 400% return on your investment.
Amazing.
right? Which, I mean, I don't foresee a 50% correction, but even if we do, history has shown us that over a 25-year period, as long as you're investing for the long haul, market tends to move in an upward direction every single time.
Absolutely.
You can look at the last, 300 years of history to really see what has been happening with land values, with currency, with inflation, and where our wealth is going, right?
Right.
You look at minimum wage, you look at what's happening in the construction industry. You just mentioned it. People are doing renovations left and right and center. I can't imagine a skilled laborer that currently gets paid $60 an hour. If there's a big crash in the economy, I can't imagine him going to work for $20 an hour. It's not going to happen. Wages are not coming down.
No.
These skilled laborers are in demand, right?
It's interesting. Interesting you mentioned that. I was just, I noticed the other day, I was driving around Mississauga, and it seemed like every other block that I went, there were these huge help wanted signs. Everything from AZ drivers wanted to forklift operators in driving up Kennedy Road, and going to Tim Hortons wanted, not as Tim Hortons, but wanted all positions, all shifts, hiring now. There seems to be a real boom in hiring that's going on right now. Everywhere you look.
There is, and people are looking for jobs, and employers are willing to compensate people as well. And there is no shortage of work out there, especially in the skilled labor industry. Right. If you're looking, for sure.
Interesting. So where do you see us going forward in real estate? We've done remarkably well for a number of years now. Toronto's just, it's the perfect storm. And when I say Toronto, I mean Mississauga and the GTA in general. It's a perfect storm where I totally agree with you that we are very attractive on the world stage for a number of reasons: safety, good education, a great place to grow a family. And there's a lot of mobility in the world now with people who have resources who are happy to move here. So we've been in that perfect storm where I think basically they're playing catch up all the time, there's just not been enough housing stock to house all the people that want to move here. And I also believe that I don't know if we'll ever catch up with that, because they need, if there's 200,000 people moving here, well, those are families. So you're still going to need, I don't know, 50 or 60,000 new homes, whether they're houses or condos per year. And I don't see how they can build that many. I just don't see how it can happen. So where do you see the real estate market headed? Well, that's a question of where interest rates are going, right? And as long as interest rates remain low, and money is affordable, I don't see this boom stopping. I see prices continuing to increase for all the reasons that we mentioned, including supply, a lack of supply, right? People are not listing their home. No, right? We're seeing listings way down. Listings are way down, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that if you sold your home in the last 10 years, you made the biggest mistake in your life. You know what I mean? Yes. Your house has gone up in value, and had you kept it, you would have made more money. Totally. And sellers are reluctant to sell, right? They're holding on to their biggest assets, right? They're also cognizant of the fact that they do sell. It is difficult to jump in and to buy something without competing, without sacrificing, without being a stressful situation. And of course, having the right agent representing you through that process is monumentally important. It is. It's probably more important now than ever to have the right agent, right? Because people are throwing out numbers. People, money doesn't have the same meaning it used to back in the day, right? So having the right professional protect you and protect your interests going through, your biggest transaction in your lifetime is extremely important. I can't stress that enough. So true. So true. You have to have your best interests at heart every step through the process. Yeah. They have to give you great advice when you're buying. They have to go the extra mile and really work with you to prep the house and make sure they get the most amount of value when you're selling. And having the right professional that is part of the right organization and is a professional at heart and has the right team to help you through that process is more important now than ever has been in the past. And, I see a lot of these discounted brokerages and brands coming up in the market. And why would you ever
I was driving down Mississauga Road, this beautiful mega mansion with a discount sign in the lawn. Like, if you really think about it, what message you're sending to your neighbors, to your marketplace, and to every person coming through your door, right? People understand that if you have a discount sign in your front lawn, it's because you want to save money and commission. They get it. They understand that you're cutting corners. They understand that, you don't have strong representation, because you don't. Anybody that has the mindset to work for a discount brokerage, is not probably a person that you want to be represented by in a multi-million-dollar transaction.
Right.
And it's you're sending the wrong message, right, to the marketplace. So it's so important nowadays to really go through the process in the right way and have a professional really.
Well, the numbers are so large. The numbers these days are so large. I totally agree that it's not a casual thing to sell a $3 million house on Mississauga Road. It's not a casual thing to do. And would you go, if you went in for heart surgery, would you want a rookie doing the surgery, or would you want somebody who's really, really well established from a good school or a good company, if you will, to do that heart surgery for you? It's the same with a house. Whether it's a $3 million house or a $500,000 condo, it's not so easy, and you need to get the right person in there, 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, we see it every day, Randy. Here, we see $3 million homes listed, selling, 10% above asking. We see condos selling with 17 offers coming in, and the sellers doing extremely well. And that's a reflection of our realtors going the extra mile. Yeah, making sure that the property is staged, making sure that the property is decluttered, making sure that we have the best of the best when it comes to pictures and the virtual tour, and making sure that we go the extra mile and we really safeguard and protect the seller's best interest every step of the way, right? And
I think go ahead. Sorry,
I just wanted to add that, over the last 35 years, we've just become exceptional at it.
I think the public also has higher expectations these days, and that's a good thing. When I started in the business back in the Jurassic era, when I first started in real estate, I took my own photos. I would just take my camera, not a smartphone, because there were no smartphones, and I would just take photos of the house and get the film developed. This is how old I am. Wow. And that was acceptable. You'd upload those photos to Trep, and that was all. Nowadays, are you kidding? If you see somebody with unprofessional photos that took them themselves, you see a listing like that, you're saying, what is going on here? You got to get professional photos. You have to have a tour. Staging is becoming more and more an important thing, unless the house is spectacular to begin with. You see a vacant house and it's not staged, you say, well, the agent's pretty cheap, or somebody's cutting corners. So I think those expectations are a lot higher now. I hope they don't get too high. A lot of people watch these shows like HGTV, and from a buyer's perspective, they expect perfection. They want that movie star lifestyle on their first starter home. It's not always attainable, but I think it's a good thing for the industry in general that we've had to up the bar, raise the bar, and give more value to our customers.
Let's be honest with ourselves. If a buyer expects perfection, they're also going to pay for it, right? So,
That's right.
Sometimes it's actually better to buy the less perfect house in a better neighborhood.
Yes.
Focus on location. Compromise on the interior finishing, and compromise on some of the things that you can change over time, but don't compromise on the fundamentals, right? Nowadays, I see some of the buyers that don't have the best representation. They go for the shiny interior, right? And they compromise on the location. And, I think those people are going to be in trouble if the market shifts and moves and they don't pay attention to the fundamentals. So again, representation is very important.
So some fundamentals are still in place. I agree too, that a location is still the number one consideration. Number one. You can have a little cottage, but if it's right on the lake, that's a great investment. Or you can buy the biggest mansion on a street that's not in the greatest neighborhood. Maybe not the best idea. Absolutely. Interesting. So many changes in the industry. Technology sure has changed. I know we couldn't have done this even 5 years ago, I don't think. But it's great to be able to do so.
Yeah, and there's buyers transacting from all over the world. Virtual open houses and 3D tours, and
Yep.
the way we communicate with buyers in real time. And there's probably more pressure now on our time than ever
Yep.
before. But we're also more connected than we ever were before with our clients, right? Our clients text and call
That's
and
true.
call us. And, I know we have agents in our office that, will go and send a video of the house to the client before the client actually comes out and takes a look. And,
That's
that's
going the extra mile for sure.
yeah, but it's there to also protect the buyer and the seller. The buyer doesn't have to come into a property and expose themselves to a
Right.
risky COVID situation. They can,
Right.
take a look at the virtual tour. They can take a look at the video that the agent makes. That just saves them from a trip. And if the house does pass their criteria and they want to book an appointment and go see in person, they can see the 3 top picks and spend more time on the top picks than waste their time and see other properties that are not of interest to them, right? So, there are efficiencies that we have experienced in the last year or so, and we keep fine-tuning them and we keep bettering them, and we keep raising the bar for our clients, and it's an exciting industry to be a part of.
Absolutely. So if you were talking to let's start with a seller. If you're talking to a seller today and they're considering maybe selling their house between now and the end of the year, what advice would you give them? Would you advise them to go ahead and do it, or should they wait a while, or what's something just in a general sense that you would tell them for a seller?
It's a great question, but it's also a difficult one because every situation is so different, right? The first thing, I encourage our realtors to do is to really get to know their client. All right. You can't give them good advice until you know what their lifestyle is like. Where do they work? What are their future plans with work? What is their retirement strategy? Where in the life cycle are they, right? Because these are all really important considerations.
That's right. Okay, so if you're talking to a buyer today, let's say they're a first-time buyer, and they say to you, well, things are pretty expensive, but the market seems to have slowed a bit. There doesn't seem to be quite as many bidding wars right now, which is a good thing from a buyer's point of view. Would you tell them jump in there, get it? Or would you advise them to hold off, to wait to see what happens with COVID? What would be your advice to a first-time buyer who has the down payment? They're ready to buy something. Should they wait, or should they go ahead and get in the market?
No, they definitely have to get in the market, but they have to pay attention to the fundamentals, right? So
Okay.
location, as close to the core as possible, right? And of course, they have to be comfortable. So look at, cohabitation, basement apartments, something to help them pay their mortgage, something to make, the burden less painful. But I also teach, buyers to, really take a small step approach. So don't try to jump into that detached house that, you want as your final product.
Right.
Give yourself time, buy something a little bit smaller, like a smaller condo or a condo townhouse, and work your way up. Leave room for appreciation. Make sure that, you can add value by doing small projects like painting or changing the countertop or updating the bathrooms or finishing the basement. Build in equity, and then, let's put a plan together of how we can get you into that detached house where you really want to be over a period of time.
Excellent. Good advice. Absolutely. So is there anything else? Would you like to add any other stuff you'd like to talk about today? This has been great. This has been a wonderful conversation. Anything in particular?
Well, as an investor, as somebody that is heavily invested in the real estate industry, I just really want to say I'm really proud of what our industry has been able to accomplish in the last year and a half. I think Canadians have sent a really strong message of how important real estate is to them on a very fundamental level. And I think that moving forward, it's going to play an absolute crucial role in everybody's finances and financial wealth on a going forward basis. And I would encourage everybody out there listening to really jump in, buy, invest, and really, take the risk and invest in Canadian real estate, because in my opinion, looking at the fundamentals, looking at the basics, something as simple as clean air and clean water that many of us take for granted on an everyday basis,
Yep.
That's not going away. And that's going to be even more in demand moving forward, right? I can't stress that enough. And our real estate is going to continue to appreciate in value on a worldwide scale because of everything that we talked about today.
Words of wisdom. Absolutely. So David, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been a real pleasure. And I hope we get to do this again sometime. Anytime. It's fun talking to you, man. And
no problem. It's my pleasure, Andy. I'm thrilled that you're part of Sutton Summit Realty. I'm thrilled that,
I'm glad to be there.
Your business grow and we can support you in all your efforts. And I'm a big fan of your podcast. And thank you very much for having me on today. I hope you guys enjoyed my prospect and my perspective on the real estate market. And if anybody has any questions or would like to explore a career in real estate, we have a amazing training for realtors at our brokerage. We actually pride ourselves on training a lot of new realtors in the industry and really helping them succeed. And a lot of that is based on the culture that we have and everybody kind of jumping in and helping everybody get to a higher level of success. So I would encourage you to come talk to me. Come talk to Randy. I know, Randy, you're also mentoring a newer realtor as well.
A little bit,
which is, part of our our
new member of the team. New member of the team.
And that's been great to kind of see you taking something under your wing and going through that process. And I think you're really enjoying the experience as well.
Yes, I am.
So it's going to be fun to see both of you guys get to a higher level of success as well.
Well, thanks again, my friend. And I hope we get to do this again soon. So have a great day. Thanks for coming on board.
Thanks, everybody. Buy real estate, okay. Buy and hold, buy today, and call Randy for all your real estate needs.
Okay, David. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.